History books told us ancient Peru was ruled only by men, warriors, kings, priests. For over 100 years, nobody questioned it. Then, in 2006, archaeologists opened a sealed tomb hidden beneath a pyramid in the Peruvian desert and found something impossible. Inside was the perfectly preserved body of a young woman covered in mysterious tattoos. Beside her, war clubs, weapons, and a silver cup stained with traces of blood. She wasn't a queen standing beside power. She was the power. And what archaeologists discovered next completely shattered everything we thought we knew about ancient civilization. Imagine this: 1987, the northern coast of Peru. Archaeologists uncover the tomb of the Lord of Zipan. Gold, jade, ceremonial knives. The entire world was stunned. History books were rewritten overnight. The conclusion seemed unquestionable. Ancient Peru was a world ruled by men. Male warriors, male priests, male rulers. Women existed only in the background. That belief survived exactly 19 years. On May 15, 2006, in the Chicama Valley, 80 kilometers north of Trujillo, a shovel struck something hard beneath a layer of clay. It was not a bowl, not a knife. It was a 100-kilogram bundle wrapped in 26 layers of cloth. Inside lay a young woman in her 20s. Tattooed snakes curled around her forearms. Spiders covered the backs of her hands. Beside her were 2 war clubs and 23 spear throwers. Real weapons, heavy and functional, not ceremonial decorations. After 1,700 years of silence, she emerged from the earth, and everything we thought we knew about pre-Inca Peru began to crumble like dried clay. Today, archaeologists call her the Lady of Cao. She ruled more than 1,200 years before the first Inca ever walked toward Cusco. Her body was preserved almost perfectly. Skin, nails, tattoos, even the expression on her face. She was buried beneath a pyramid locals had long called Huaca el Brujo, the Wizard's Mound. They had no idea how accurate that name truly was. You are standing in the Chicama Valley, northern Peru, December 2005. The air is so dry your lips crack within an hour. The shadows of the Huaca Cao Viejo pyramid stretch across the sand like black blades. Rain almost never falls here. Only salty Pacific winds and the whisper of sand against adobe walls. Archaeologist Regulo Franco Jordan had spent 15 years excavating this site. 15 years of threats from grave robbers armed with shovels and rifles. 15 years of financial crises nearly shutting the project down. 15 years with almost nothing to show for it. Then his shovel touched burned wood, charred figurines, copper vessels, ash layers. In Moche culture, ritual fires sealed the tombs of the elite. Franco immediately understood. Something important lay below. The excavation continued for 6 months. Finally, beneath the northwestern courtyard of the pyramid, they uncovered the cocoon-like bundle. The head faced south according to Moche burial traditions, a sign reserved only for the highest nobility. Layer after layer was carefully unwrapped. 26 layers of cotton interwoven with gilded copper. Then a textile mask. Then real human skin. And tattoos. Snakes, spiders, crabs, cat-like creatures. Symbols connected to the moon deity of the Moche civilization. Then came the moment that silenced the entire team. The ruler was a woman. For nearly 2 decades after the discovery of the Lord of Zipan, textbooks described the Moche civilization as a strictly male warrior society. Women, historians believed, could at most become priestesses, never rulers. Regulo Franco himself believed this. He spent 15 years expecting to find a male king. Instead, he uncovered a 20-something woman buried with weapons of war. To understand the shock, imagine archaeologists opening Tutankhamun's tomb and discovering an unknown female pharaoh instead. The team spent weeks verifying the remains. Anthropologist John Verano examined the pelvic bones personally. Textile specialists studied the wrappings millimeter by millimeter. The conclusion became undeniable. A woman. Around 25 years old, likely dead from complications after childbirth. And beside her body lay another young woman with marks of strangulation around her neck. A ritual sacrifice meant to accompany her ruler into the afterlife. The Lady of Cao had been buried with war clubs, spear throwers, golden ornaments, scepters, and a silver goblet identical to those seen in Moche artwork depicting elite ritual ceremonies. Microscopic residue inside the cup suggested something terrifying. It had once contained blood. She was not symbolic power. She was real power. A military leader, a priestess, a ruler of the Chicama Valley centuries before the fall of the Moche civilization. And after her discovery, archaeology changed forever. Researchers began re-examining older discoveries and suddenly started finding elite female rulers everywhere. At San Jose de Moro, archaeologists uncovered 8 royal tombs in a row. Every single one belonged to a woman. In later excavations connected to the Wari Empire, 58 of 68 elite burials belonged to women, including queens seated on thrones surrounded by luxury artifacts. By 2022, more murals and ceremonial halls showed female rulers wearing symbols of political authority once assumed to belong only to men. Within just 16 years, the entire understanding of ancient Peru had been overturned. The Lady of Cao became the key that unlocked a forgotten history. In 2017, forensic artists reconstructed her face using CT scans and 3D modeling. What appeared was not the face of a monster or conqueror, but an ordinary young woman with soft features and high cheekbones. That ordinary face makes the story even more haunting, because that same young woman once stood atop a pyramid wrapped in gilded garments, deciding wars, rituals, and the fate of prisoners. Yet despite all her power, she likely died from postpartum bleeding or infection, the same fate suffered by countless ordinary women throughout history. Her tattoos were eventually cataloged using infrared photography. Snakes symbolized healing and prophecy. Spiders represented weaving and destiny. Crabs symbolized the sea and fertility. Jaguars symbolized power. The moon creature on her shoulder represented the highest deity of the Moche pantheon. Her body was not decorated. It was a living resume. And perhaps the most disturbing realization is this. Everything many people consider the natural order, who rules, who fights, who inherits power, may only reflect the last few centuries of history. 17 centuries ago, in the valleys of Peru, a tattooed young woman commanded armies, performed sacred rituals, and ruled from adobe pyramids. We do not even know her real name. Only the title archaeologists gave her 1,700 years later. The Lady of Cao.